Hello, everybody. It is I, Robin, the solitary Inwit. Potentially for the last time, I will give Jack a call tomorrow and see if he's down to do some of these with me when Survivor Season 41 starts up. But here I am. I'm here to kind of have a quick chat about the last South African Survivor Immunity Idol. I have a little bit of cake. I've snuck a little bit of cake. For this one in honor of Chappies for all his stealing of sweets and treats and coconuts and crabs and everything. It's delicious. This is what I'm doing. Great. I shouldn't be eating on camera. It slows me down. So we had, oh man, what an endearing season. Like I've only seen the last two South African seasons. I really need to go back and watch the other ones. But I'm loving it. I am loving it. There is just something really just great about the South African seasons. And what I really like is, I mean, especially the finale. The finale is true to its roots. I feel like this is how all finales should be. We've got a live finale. We have the jury get to ask a question. The final two or three, in whatever style it plays out, in this case the final two, they give their opening statements. The jury then each ask their questions if they have a question, or give them a statement. The finalists respond, and then they have a closing statement before the jury go and vote. Beautiful. It's just simple, it's easy. There's something just great about that simplistic element, and the fact that it's read live, that's my biggest gripe I have with the Australian Survivor. I would love us to implement a live finale where we don't know the winner. I think that's really, really great. And then you get the reunion show all packed up together. It's just perfect. It really is. So we have our final three: Chappies, Nicole, and Anela. And this one's a pretty straightforward final three. And what we had end up happening was pretty straightforward, if you ask me. We've got Chappies, who's won 5 individual immunities in a row and 2 rewards, so 7 challenges in a row all up, which is pretty astronomically amazing. Clearly needs to win. If he doesn't win, there is no way you would ever want to go to the end with the Chappies. And we did, for those of you who watched, that we did see in that other episode when Chappies wins immunity and that little breakfast reward, and he takes in an Esu, and she comes from the jury. She comes over to give him some feedback of what's going on back over at Ponderosa, where all the jury members hang out while they're waiting for their moment to shine. And she says pretty much, you've got this game in the bag. And he would. He's won so many in a row. He's done, and the outwitting of the crabs and all that stuff, he just came off really, really strongly at every tribal coming into that, when the League of Shadows kept faltering, in my opinion. And we have the, I'm going to have a bit more of my cake. We have the final challenge being the classic one that, for any Australian fans would know, the classic Australian final 3 to final 2 challenge. And I know they've probably done it, but they probably did it in Borneo, but I haven't seen Survivor Borneo since it first aired 21 years ago. So I really should go back and watch. I should go back and watch all the seasons. I just haven't had time just yet. But this is the classic challenge where we've got the idol in the middle. All 3 contestants must stand on the staggered poles and never let go. Now, I'm used to this Australian one of going for like 5-6 hours, this finale. That's what they want to do. This one only went for around 3.5 hours. But in turn, we see Anela fall off pretty early on. He was never going to compete. I find, and I have always found Anela, how people talk about Anela, strange, because I don't see what I'm seeing in the edit. I don't see that. I see a really weak player. I see a player who is confused strategically and is okay physically, but he doesn't. He's not always going to be in it. And this one being an endurance one, he didn't have a hope. And then you have Chappies sitting there telling Nicole, "Get ready, because I'm here for 2, 3, 4 hours. I'm here as long as it's going to be. I'm embracing the pain. I'm good to go," which you'd expect from Chappies. And then you also would expect from Nicole to try her hardest, try her best. She's been doing that day after day. She said, that one time when they all the people stopped and quit the challenge, or didn't quit the challenge, just chose not to participate in the challenge and get the reward, while Chappies and Nicole were the only ones who participated. So Nicole, she's always going to give it her all. And then all of a sudden, Chappies shuts down. His whole body just collapses and he falls off, and Nicole wins 3.5 hours into this challenge. And it's pretty much very easy from there. Chappies does try to pitch the fact that you're better off taking me, because I spoke to the jury in my reward. They told me this. They told me I couldn't beat you. Anela was definitely the winner. A big old bluff there from Chappies. And look, unfortunately, strategy goes out the window when you have no say. It becomes, when it's a final 3 into a final 2, there's very little you can do. The other person's mind, depending on the players, but in this case, Chappies has just been such a dominant player physically and has just, outplayed everyone with not so much his huge strategic moves, but, getting up really early and finding crabs is a strategic thing to do. Like, there are so many ways you can approach strategy or outwitting someone else. And to me, I think that was a great strategy, to feed my body, make sure I'm nice and strong, and while they're all sleeping, I'm going to get stronger. So it becomes really hard when it's Chappies and Anela has just might be nice to talk to and eloquent to talk when he talks, but just has the most confusing strategic game that I've ever seen, ever. There's no, and so anyway, it's a no-brainer. Nicole plays up, I don't know which way I'm going to go, and she does spend a bit of time in there, but instantly votes, in the end, votes Chappies out. He becomes our last jury member, and we have our final tribal with Nicole and Anela. Now, this to me is another no-brainer. I just don't see how Anela wins. Could never see how, I could see how Anela wins prior to his big old blindside that he wanted to pull off on Tyson or Kieran, until he then said, he wanted it to go a certain way, and then when it wasn't going that certain way, he went, well, this is no longer my plan, and backed out. That to me is ludicrous. That just makes no sense. It just is mind-boggling that he decided to back out. And not only did he decide to back out, he then decides to tell the people he was going to blindside that I was going to do this, they're going to do this now, and I've made a mistake. I don't want to do it anymore. And Anela goes to say, they didn't vote me out after that. That's how good my game was, that I could make this mistake and no one would still vote me out. No, you could make that mistake and no one will vote you out, because now you've just proven that you're a useless player. Your strategic game set is so pointless. You've practically become a goat. You are now the person they want to take to the end. Why not? Anyone can out-talk that. That's ridiculous. But he tries to make it sound like he's there, he could make these mistakes, and people still no one wanted to vote him out because of that, because of how strong his social game is. I don't know if I buy that. And I think in the end, no one does. Or maybe one person. I can't remember. I didn't see the vote count. I tried to look at the vote count today online, but I couldn't. I don't know what to Google. I suck with all that sort of stuff. But from all I saw was Anela had 1 vote and everything else was Nicole. It was a landslide pretty much. So Anela probably gets 2 votes at max if that was the case. But it was all Nicole. And rightly so. Like, Nicole had played a really nice game. It's not a, and I really liked how she worded it. She played a really great tribal council, final tribal. She owned her style, and and let other people do all the dirty stuff. She never got her hands completely bloodied. She was slightly on the out, so she didn't have to make the real strong moves, but she just tried and she kept going, and she won the one that mattered. This the final individual immunity when it comes from 3 to 2, where you have ultimate control. And then she can say that. She's like, I was in alliance and I brought Anela here. He's the only reason he's here is because I allowed him to be here. No matter what Anela says, it's impossible for him to argue that point. Because Chappies could be there. Whoever Nicole wanted was going to be there. And no matter how much you want to talk yourself out of it, you can't. You're there because that person wanted you to be there. Whether they thought they could beat you, whether they thought you were a challenge and they wanted to beat the best, or that old chestnut, which, when it comes to the prize money in the end, I don't, there's honor in saying I want to go up against the best. But, I mean, you already have. There's only going to be one winner. Everyone else is lost. So what's it matter if the biggest threat to you and going up against the biggest challenge goes out third instead of second? It doesn't matter. You don't have to go up against the best. You've been going up against them for, whether it's 29 what's the new one, 24 days, 39 days, 50, 48 days, whatever Survivor you play. You've already gone up against them. You've won. Forget it. Don't take them to the end. Take the one that you can beat, because the money's up for grabs now. That's where the game changes once more. There's only one winner. So Nicole does the right thing, and she was really, really great. And she talked really, really well. And not that Anela didn't talk well. He wasn't. I mean, we've just had 2 finales back to back. I mean, George made a terrible, terrible final tribal. It was hideous from everything that was the edit we saw. It was fake. There was no, that is a great question, jury. Thank you very much for asking. No, just be a human. And both Anela and Nicole were human, but Nicole was just a nicer human, and also was able to tell why her game was worthy of the winner. Whereas Anela was pulling at threads. And when you could see him pulling at threads, you could see him trying to make, try to polish the turd. And that slightly took away that little bit of human element to him when you could see he was on the back foot a little bit, as he had to try to prove why he did certain things, or why he decided to go back and on his big move. And how does he shape that for a jury to believe that's the reason why he did it? So yeah, he ends up coming second, which to me is the right decision. Nicole walks away with the $1,000,000, and it's another great season. And then we have that really fun, Nico's just a great host. It seems like he also loves the game. And I appreciate a host who loves the game, which, Jeff absolutely loves the game, which is why he's invested 21 years of his life into it. But Nico's great, and Nico's fun, and he gives has a quick word to everybody. And my memory, for people who watch this often, my memory sucks. So, I did forget the first boot and all this sort of stuff. And I did forget that Rainier got unlucky with that, what is it? Destiny's Tide. The Destiny's Tide, or your fates are tied, little curveball, little surprise package there that was thrown out, which that twist was could throw it in there. I don't know if I agree with that twist. That's a game-changing twist, where it's like, if one person's voted out, you're both voted out. That's a hard place to be. So from memory, that Rainier got done by the twist, but I was really liking Rainier's game before then. There's just a really, Survivor of South Africa is just really cool, and really enjoyable. And there's, they did Immunity Island this time, and I forget what it was, Island of Secrets or whatever it was last time, where one person gets voted off, or not voted off, one person goes for the afternoon to this island to potentially get a reward or get some sort of advantage. Island of the Idols. Nah, that was a really bad American season. I can't remember what it was called. But aside from their twists, they're not, and sending people away. The element that is really nice is there's still this really strong core survivor-ness, old school survivor-ness to South African Survivor, which is really, really awesome. So anyway, the one thing I would have loved to have seen at the reunion show is what the next season is. You get that at the American season, that preview of what's to come. I would have loved a bit of a preview, because I really dig the South African Survivor now. So I just have to wait for the next one. Anyway, this is, just a quick one. Really, I don't know, it was a pretty straightforward vote to me. I wouldn't, there's nothing much I would have done differently. I would have liked to have been doing these chats a little earlier so my brain could remember everything. Because it was, being weekly, it becomes a bit hard for me to remember, I don't know, most of the season apart from 2 episodes. But happy with it. We've got a couple more days before the start of Survivor US again, and that, I read that Jeff's article recently, and that was just, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what they come up with. I'm a little upset that it's only 26 days or whatever it is, but there might be a reset, and maybe we're not going to see as many hidden idols. And don't get me wrong, I love hidden immunity idols. I love that stuff. I love the strategy behind an aggressive hidden immunity idol play, which we don't see enough of. We did see quite a bit of it in, the Survivor, probably when it started. Parvati was great with it early on, but probably season, I don't know, 14 to 26 to now, I don't know, maybe early 30s, but a good immunity idol play I love. But at the same time, the season and the episodes have revolved too much around that. So maybe stripping that back, if that's what's happening, is exciting. Going back to the original season 1 Borneo style roots and seeing what worked from there and bringing that in might be cool. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm looking forward to talking about it. I'll be talking about it regardless of if I'm here with Jack or not, because as you guys know, I just love talking about Survivor. So I'm really, really looking forward to it's the 20th today. It's 3 more days. 3 more days till I get to see Survivor season 41, which, it's going to be good. Anyway, I'm going to go and finish my little cake in honor of Chappies, and I will see you all in a few days' time.